Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on Apple Podcast and Spotify, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast. All our episodes are on WhoKnewPodcast.com. You can leave comments there or email us at WhoKnewPodcast@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram and Twitter account. Tweet at us at WhoKnewPodcast. Find us on Facebook. Today's episode is Series 9 or Season 9, depending on what part of the planet you are from. It is the entirety of Season 9. This is Peter Capaldi's second season as the 12th Doctor and Jenna Coleman's last season as the Companion. Hi, this is Eugene. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, this is Frank.
Hi, this is Josh.
Hi, Kelsey here.
Hi, this is Brian.
Howdy, this is Auburn.
All right, so let's dive in. Officially, whatever. The first episode of the season is Last Christmas, which is a Christmas special. That's the one where Clara discovers Santa on her rooftop, and there are crab, spider, alien things in a dream sequence with Santa Claus.
I didn't watch this one.
Well, thank you for joining us.
I watched all the others. I didn't know this was part of season 9.
That's the best way to hook people.
Well, our categories for it for a new viewer was Josh, Heather, and myself. For casual, we had Brian and Alburn, and for a fan, it was Frank. So, Kelsey, you still didn't watch this one.
Oh man!
Go watch Alien,
The Thing, and Inception, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just the Christmas special. We don't have to talk about it, but it's listed on some lists as the episode 0 in the season. So I just wanted to call that out.
I just don't like that they change. But this was the end of Clara's episodes, right? This was supposed to be her goodbye again.
It was.
The Christmas one?
Yeah.
It was a very good ending for her, and then they changed their minds.
Yeah, they did.
The thing I remember most about this episode was Nick Frost as Santa Claus.
Right.
But that's
fun.
Yeah. But he wasn't really Santa. It was all in whose head? Was it in Clara's mind or
all of their heads?
All of their heads.
Whose head?
They were all connected, huh? Through the crabs?
Yep.
Okay.
It was like a collective embodiment of who Santa is.
But from what I remember, it was the Doctor first, and that's why everybody else got sucked into it.
Oh, I think I remember that when we were saying that the Doctor is the most powerful being that's connected with all these people, so he has a little bit more mental energy, shall we say?
Saying the Doctor's a little more mental.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a fun episode. Nothing really bad or great about it.
It's one of the Christmas ones I do enjoy, because it's Christmassy enough.
Right.
For me, it's the Christmas part is at the end when everybody has to go back into the real world.
Yeah, that's very Christmassy.
I enjoy that part. But the rest of it is very horror, so I'm like, I don't know if people will like it, but I like it.
Christmas can be horrific.
In different ways than this one.
I might watch this again this season.
It is the season for it. So the first official episode in season 9 is The Magician. Well, I'll do both of them because this season was a bunch of two-parters. So episode 1 and 2 are The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. So we can talk about them together because they are one sort of story. So this is the one where the Doctor once speculated about killing a child who grows up, and we find out that this child is Davros, and then the Doctor, that is faced with a temptation. Can he resist? Will there be mercy? What will he do with this child? And then he meets Davros later, like adult Davros.
And Missy is in this one.
Yes, she comes back after we thought she had died from... It was it Danny as a Cyberman that killed her, or the Brigadier that killed her in last season?
I think it might have
Brigadier, I think. This one's... I thought this one started out fine and then got so talky in the second half, and I just didn't buy what they were saying, especially Davros.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Like,
The opening was great to see that weird war zone, and then this child and the Doctor wanting to save a child is very in character. And then when he asks the child for his name, he says Davros, and it just zooms or dollies into Peter Capaldi's face. It's like, oh no, what's going on here? It's one of the better openings in my mind.
But I like even further than that. I like the whole Missy trying to get to Clara. They're trying to get to the doctor. They wind up on Skaros. That's all fun to me.
The reveal that they were on Skaro. It's like it's invisible or something. When we first get there, they think they're just going to like a spaceship, and it's revealed, oh, the spaceship is actually on a planet, and the planet is
Missy freaks
Skaro.
I did like that part, knowing that the gravity's not right for a spaceship.
Right.
But the idea that they don't die, that the Daleks just don't die, is just so morbid to me that I did not like that.
Well, Kelsey, you were just watching you just got to the end of the season.
I just binged it in 2 days,
yeah.
Yes.
So we saw the Daleks in the with the sliders in the cloisters, who are also still living and having some dark times down there. So I guess it kind of connects to that very first episode, or first air.
It just goes along with the ending of the last season, where they're, I guess, cheating death in a way. Missy is stopping everybody from moving on, but it's natural, what they're supposed to be doing, to keep all of their consciousness in that whole cyber world. So it just seems, I don't get why he's so fascinated with that as a showrunner or a writer. That just seems so wrong that he just keeps bringing that up. It's like, why? What is it you're trying to say with this?
This is where we get the first mention of the confession dial, is in The Magician's Apprentice. And it's funny, like watching this episode, and then later on we're going to go to Heaven Sent. It says, how is a Time Lord supposed to die? And then Missy replies with meditation, repentance and acceptance, contemplation of the absolute. So it is set up, but we don't get reminders of this setup. So that's why I don't like what Moffat is adding to the world building of the Time Lords. And we also get a mention of the Cloister War, which will come up again at the end of the season. It's like, if you're going to plant the seed, you need to at least water it so that we get something at the end and like, oh, it is a flower, as opposed to like, what's this magical seed going to be?
Yeah. Also, the whole season wide arc of everything, not just the hybrid, just isn't worth it to me. It's like none of it is worth sitting through all the episodes and trying to figure out for fun, because by the time you get to the end, it's not fun.
Even when you go back, like, Saxton, you didn't pick that up, I didn't pick it up, but then if you watch it again, knowing that that's something, you go, oh my gosh, I missed a lot there. And that is fun, going, okay, he did plant it all. This was just, remember the hybrid, it's going to be important. Oh, this is a hybrid. This is the hybrid. Which one's the hybrid? Is there a hybrid of the hybrid? I don't know. So the overall arc, I did not think worked. I agree.
Like, I was surprised to see the confession dial in The Magician's Apprentice and be like, oh yeah, I guess that was presented to us at the beginning. But then when we see it again near the end of the season, I don't remember that Missy had it. Like...
what it was or anything like that. I mean, they really don't explain again a refresher of what it is.
Well, because like we said, is everything that is being said verbally a clue? Like, this is a sentence. Am I supposed to focus on this is or a sentence? So that's the part that's how I feel that he's seeding these things. He puts them in and he's like, I did put them in. I'm like, you did, but you didn't put them in well.
It's also a bit of a double-edged sword, though, because I think by now it's become such a trope.
Yeah.
That every time they say something, is that important?
Yeah.
Do we need to remember that? Look at the color of that bathroom door. Is that something?
Why is that light brighter on that wall than that wall?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember what was going on with me during this season, but I do distinctly have the memory of when we got to Hellbent, the final episode, and they started talking about the hybrid and like wrapping up that storyline. I distinctly remember going, what hybrid? What's the hybrid? I don't remember a hybrid.
Well, in these two episodes, The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, the hybrid is proposed as a Dalek Time Lord hybrid.
Which makes sense, so I'm glad that was the one they addressed first.
So I'm bringing it up now because they're going to change it as we go through the rest of the episodes.
And I think that's what hurts it. Like Bad Wolf, you had all these instances of that appearing and you didn't know until the end. But then the solution, like they went back and added it. There was a reason, there was motivation for it. Saxon, like it was great backstory, against this political backdrop of what England was becoming. But then it was motivated at the end because you actually had the story be about that. Like it was motivated. And so, yeah, this is just like you get to the end and you're like, you still don't really want to answer it. It's still like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's two of us, maybe, yeah. And so if it would have been something more specific that had motivation, I'm sure we would, be praising that now instead of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Silence will fall. Same thing. They kept changing what that meant.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see if they nailed this ending, what our opinion of each episode would be.
Right.
Would it be more improved? Would we look upon the whole season more fondly? Probably, but
And there are a lot of people
they
who
didn't land
love
the
this.
ending.
Yeah, I agree. But there are a lot of people who love this season. I think it's one of the best.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of people. I'm not one of them.
Wow.
But I can see there are
Let's
some
check with
really
that
good
other
things.
Who Knew podcast.
Right. There are a lot of good things in this. Like you had even said, the acting, the relationship between the two, how Capaldi takes over certain scenes and his leading up to his speeches and all that. So, and even the ideas were some great, interesting new ideas. I just wasn't my kind of season. It's like Missy
No.
is fun to watch. She's a lot of fun, but she's also pure evil in this. I mean, she kills some people to go, no, I'm not good. Boom, kill them. And without even any kind of thinking or remorse. They're just so little in her mind that I don't see. I want to have something that I like about somebody, even if they're evil. I want to have that playfulness. But then for Missy, just seems too much for me, where she's too much gone. How she treats Clara, how she treats others. It's just, she's too unredeemable. That's the word I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I do agree with that in this first episode for sure.
Do you? I doubt that you would know, but do you know how much of the season was interrupted by keeping Clara as a character? Like maybe there was a really great design or thought for where the hybrid could go, but then because of having her, like stuff had to get rearranged or reworked, and it just kind of got lost.
Yeah, I don't remember reading anything of what was going to be before Jenna Coleman signed on again.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember the writer's tale because he covered it.
But would he have covered that in this? Because that's Moffat instead of Davis.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Shoot.
There's no way to know. He has not written a book.
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure it's just speculation. Who knows? And if it happened pretty early, like, I'm sure they had plenty of time to rewrite.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead.
I'm just thinking a whole sidetrack. I'm sorry. This is not related to it at all. But when you said that about the sentence, what Brian and I were thinking about was to be or not to be. They have this little skit on YouTube you can see. It's about 3-4 minutes where different actors interrupt the guy and say, well, this is how you should read it. And it has David Tennant. It has Dame Judi Dench. And so it's just a fun part to see what you should accent on the line. So see if you can find it on YouTube. It's really, I think, a lot of fun.
And it's short, it's quick, but it is fun.
Switching things another way, Frank. The Witch's Familiar is the last time we see the green screwdriver, the green light screwdriver from the 11th Doctor. For the rest or most of this season, we get the Sonic sunglasses after that.
Oh, because he gives the Sonic to Davros.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Which was a trivia question at Rose City Comic Con that people were like, "What? Did he give it to Davros?" Like they got it wrong, I think, most of the time.
How did he? Or something like, how did he not have the Sonic anymore? The sunglasses. I remember
something like that.
the question,
Yeah.
but I can't remember exactly how it was worded.
Okay, so the Magician's Apprentice and the Witch's Familiar, we categorize them as casual, being Allburn, Kelsey, and Josh. Fan being Brian, myself, and diehard for Frank.
Ooh.
I'm different.
So no new for the season
no.
opening? Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's telling.
A lot of what grabs you in this episode, you kind of already have to know stuff. And a new viewer's not gonna.
Yeah, you need the impact of the Davros review.
Yeah. So the next two episodes are episodes 3 and 4, Under the Lake and Before the Flood. This is where the Doctor goes back or I think in the future, into a sea base where there are ghosts in the water, and then they find out where these ghosts are coming from, and Under the Lake ends with the Doctor's ghost being in one of the ones in the water. Oh, is this the one with the
Bootstrap Paradise?
the deaf or the mute character?
The deaf woman?
Yeah, they use sign language, and it was praised for how they use that in these two episodes.
Yeah, that was very good.
I don't remember oh, go ahead, Brian. You go first.
I was just going to say, I love the fact that they included a deaf character, but it wasn't for a plot reason.
I think I like that, though.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
okay. Thank you. Yeah.
No, it's like
Yeah.
there's no reason that there needs to be a reason that the person's deaf. It's not like they don't hear the mysterious signals. At least I don't remember it being that way.
Well, they did, in that a lot of people would hear someone following them when they're trying to be quiet, but she could hear the axe or whatever scraping. She felt
No,
it.
but that's
No, but they used it, which I'm just saying.
Okay, yeah.
It could have been somebody who could hear it. It didn't have to be. So it's like,
Right.
no, this is just part of who that person was, and that's it. There's no special reason, no protection, or nothing
No
else.
plot device.
But that what she has can be balanced out in a different way that other people would have heard it. She felt it with the vibration. So it's like,
what year was this episode made?
2015.
Okay, yeah, because I think to that point, inclusion was starting to really become more of a prevalent thing around that time, in media, television, movies, and stuff. So,
I wish they do it more.
Yeah, but I think, it's a lot more now, diversity and inclusion. But it's only a few years old, and a few years ago was around when this episode was made.
My thing, though, is that it's become. I want it to be. Doesn't matter if they're deaf or not. What difference does it make to the plot? But I still think that they're very heavy-handed in, look, we have a deaf actor.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to put a spotlight on this sucker. And it's like, could you just hire somebody who is a good actor? Doesn't matter,
Well, I mean,
and it's like, stop it. Just do it. It's much more natural that way.
The character, I think, who's deaf, her name was Cass.
Yes, Cass, played by Sophie Stone.
Yeah, it did come in handy because she was able to read the lips of the ghost because they were silently saying things. So that kind of was plot devicey, but I think to what you're saying, Brian, I think it's more of like when no one in the room acknowledges, oh my gosh, you're deaf, or like that kind of thing. Like just accept it. It's normal. It's like not something to be pointed out. And
because not all deaf people can read lips, so it's not just assumed. So which you made a good point, but it's just also not really focused on going, hey, and pointing it out or using it a different way. So like the subtlety of using it, like Brian was saying.
Like we mentioned, Sophie Stone is deaf in real life, and the other person in the episode is Lun, I think, and that was played by Zaki Ishmael. He has a sister who is deaf in real life, so he and Sophie both know sign language, and it came in handy for this episode.
And I don't care what anybody else says, I love the bootstrap sequence. Break that fourth wall, it's fun. Don't do it a lot.
I like that they used a sci-fi idea and trope of where does some idea begin if you go back and change and all that. So I like that they focused on something traditionally science fiction and put it in.
The Tavolians are cool characters. I also like the futuristic spacecraft. It reminded me a lot of the Star Trek, where you had that future barterer guy who stole the spacecraft. He stole like a time machine and went back. Yeah. It kind of had that kind of, simple, plain lines, but it all, like you said, felt really good. The cast was really good. It was a strong 2 episodes for the season.
The Fisher King looked good, but I didn't think that character was the greatest. But
character wasn't good, but boy, it looked good.
And that was the Fisher King was done by several people, I believe, and the voice was done by the lead singer of Slipknot, I think, the guttural growl, because he was I think he was doing some concerts in the UK, and he was a big fan of, or is a big fan of Doctor Who, so they brought him on board just because he was in the area.
That's cool.
So Kelsey, you did not join us for this recording.
Oh, that's so weird. Because I definitely watched these 2 episodes in preparation. I must have had to work or something.
Or you really
Yeah.
didn't like them and said, nah.
Maybe. I was like, I'll pass. I'm nothing good to say.
So for casual, it was Brian, Alburn, and myself, and Frank was the one for fan. So it looks like Josh and Kelsey, you were not there for this one.
Yeah, this was one I missed.
This season, they're really making Clara be a lot more independent because they did have the doctor go away. So she was, again, basically the doctor with her companions there. So they're definitely pushing her in story-wise to take over that role a lot more. Her against Missy on a one-on-one. It's like Missy could dominate her, no problem. But they did have her against Missy in the last storyline. And the doctor was off somewhere different. So they do have them separated a lot in this season.
And in these 2, I felt that Clara, it was a good thing that she was like the doctor.
Yes.
Because
it was a good side of it. I agree.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
I was just so excited to go, yes, we agree.
What do you think about it worked more than the others?
Because they had the same goal and they weren't hiding anything from each other to accomplish their individual goals. They were both of them were, we need to save the day, pretty much. And when it turns out they need to save the doctor, then both of them are on the same track of how to accomplish the goal. It's just that when it doesn't work, it's because of circumstances, not because of personal agendas.
Yeah.
The one that sticks out to my mind is that when Clara is separated from because they take 2 teams, one goes into the past, and then the one with Clara stays on the base, the underwater base, and she's comforting the people that are there. Like, the doctor will solve this. The doctor is going to save the day. And we never really got that from Clara. Like with Rose, Martha, and Donna, they're always sort of comforting the tertiary character or the guest characters for this particular episode.
I don't think I said this before, but when you say that, it's so true that Rose comforts the other people, Donna comforts the other people. Clara kind of is always comforting the doctor, now that I think about it. I mean, it's another example of she's equal to the doctor. But yeah, when there's comforting that needs to be done, Clara's doing it to the doctor. Be a doctor.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like Kill the Moon so much from last season. It is because even though we don't like that schoolgirl, I think, I want to say Chloe, but it's not Chloe. It's like Courtney, I think.
Yeah, it's Courtney.
Courtney is behaving like the companion because the doctor and Clara are explaining things to her, where normally that's what the doctor does with the companion, where Clara has already had time with the 11th Doctor, so she doesn't need anything explained. And so I think that's why Kill the Moon, even though some people don't like the resolution of that episode, thematically and kind of like spiritually, that episode fits better with me than other episodes with Clara.
Yeah.
Lastly, I just wanted to bring up, I don't know if this is the first time we hear him say this, but he definitely says it in Under the Lake. He tells Clara that he has duty of care. That was a recurring phrase that was said a lot in this season that I don't remember really hearing.
Wow, I only noticed it I only remember it once.
I want to say it was brought up, and I could be wrong, it was brought up maybe in The Caretaker, because it feels like that would, in last season, it would have kind of fit better.
It's also like they really took Clara and cut all her ties to Earth, to people. Like,
Yeah.
at least with all our previous companions, usually have like some family members that give the doctor a hard time, like make sure they come back, or, you know, I know it's dangerous to be with you, but yeah, after Danny, Clara is really just loose
Free
in
agent.
the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't
I
have any.
wonder-
Yeah.
Well, I'll say then, I looked it up real quick. Duty of care is more of a theme, and I think it kind of starts with Kill the Moon, but in these 2 episodes, Under the Lake and Before the Flood, that's when it's actually said verbally.
That's so funny because I really remember it a lot from from Hellbent, because I think I even talked about it. because it stood out so much to me. Not a clue that it was mentioned before.
Right. And I think the Christmas episode could have something to, start of that or feel of that, because he did let her slip through the cracks and grow old and all that. And then the way he felt when he came back when she was young again, that relief. So I could see definitely, and I think he did it with other characters, but I can't remember time-wise now if it was before this or after. But I mean, when you said that about Christmas, it's like I never thought of it, but yeah, I could see it being tied to that.
Yeah, no, the doctor always has like this moment where he's like, oh crap, I let the companion like, be too risky or oh, was I thinking like this, I shouldn't have been so careless with my companions' lives. Like, but it was just this duty of care that just like, it felt to me like it came out of nowhere. And I was just kind of like, why is he saying that?
It's funny that you said it was seeded, but it comes out of nowhere. It's weird.
Yeah.
It feels like
Yeah.
everything that is paid off at the end of the season is seeded, but at the same time comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
that's
never
because
remembered it.
we talk about things like that a lot, where on first viewing something happens and you think it's just innocuous, and then you're like, where did this come from? But when you watch it again, you're like, oh, that was something. So it's all. These shows are so layered. You really can't enjoy them fully the first time you watch an episode. They're really. I think this show is meant to be watched multiple times in order to get everything out of it. What I was going to say earlier, though, is I could be kind of making this up, but I wonder if at this point with the duty of care thing, where Claire and the Doctor's whole pseudo romance has been really played out and has dissipated now. This is not a romantically inclined Doctor to her anymore, and it's been a whole season or more of that. So they have a different relationship now, but there's still love there. So now that it becomes less of a will they won't they romantic tension connection, and it's more of like a father daughter brother sister thing, who an older brother older father who needs to take care of the other person. So I kind of feel that, and plus, like I can't remember which one of you just said it before, that she has lost and given up so much, and and I think he feels responsible for a lot of that too. Plus, I think what happened to sort of happened to Rory and Amy, like all of the things that happened to these past companions, it's constantly or consistently being thrown in his face that it was your fault, and then in that time war, like he carries around a lot of guilt. And this has been alluded to, but the fact, I think he needs a companion to distract him from how guilty he feels for the various things in life. So now that he started off being confused, then he turned into being angry, and then now his heart is starting to show through. So I think it's kind of like the doctor's hearts in this incarnation are starting to surface more, whereas the joke has been he's just a jerk for about a season and a half.
He's Scottish.
Yes, he's Scottish. Sorry, he's Scottish. But the heart of the Doctor are starting to come out. So I think it's all kind of intertwined in all that. And like I said, whether or not that was their intention, I think it's just what's naturally happening with this character and these stories. And I also think a lot of it has to do with Capaldi, and like the episode, with the bit with River that we spoke in our last episode when he's just listening to her. And there was an episode prior to that too, where it was just him going through a transformation while he was listening to something. I can't remember what it was, but I just think there's a culmination that's happening between, what the writers are intending with the Doctor, what's happening with the Doctor and stories in general, and then Capaldi himself. So I think it feels like that's a natural spot. This was the whole thing we were talking about. Like, it came out of nowhere, but it didn't. So there's a lot of things that I hear you guys go, "What was that?" And I was like, "Oh, I kind of like that," because I kind of see this kind of like Lord of the Rings. I don't see that as 3 movies. I see that as one long, 6-hour movie, whatever. I kind of right. Well, whatever. From the episode Rose to now, like I really feel all of it together. So when one Doctor may be saying something, I don't think of it as that incarnation of the Doctor's story. I think of it as everything. So I tend to be able to Frankenstein my logic to another Doctor from another time and stuff like that. So I think that's why I tend to be pretty forgiving on stuff that, my mind goes, come on. Like my doctor mind or my heart goes like, oh no, but it's because of when he felt like this in that other episode 5 seasons ago. Like, oh yeah, okay, oh I kind of like that now. And then I'll think like, oh, that was a producer note.
Then reality kicks in.
Yeah. Oh, that was budgetary.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a producer note saying, remember in season 2, episode 5, we established this, because the producer would be like, there was a season 2, episode 5.
Well, Moffat would be, remember with the third Doctor, this happened in Alpha Centauri.
Right.
Yes, that's right. Oh, that'll be funny to everybody later.
I do think, and we've talked about this before, but I guess I haven't said it in this way. I do think that, let's just say Moffat and Russell, they are a little too close to the material. Because we always do talk about but that's like, oh, they just threw that one line in there. That wasn't enough. Or, Russell said in an interview he did that because of this that happened. And it's just like, yeah, okay, great. We like, connecting the dots to all the nerdy dots to the other shows and seasons, stuff like that. But you have your finger on the pulse and your ear to the ground. Like, you are keenly aware of these connections. We're not. So,
right.
or as much. So, we shouldn't have, as much as I enjoy the layered thinking of enjoying an episode or a plot point, it shouldn't be work.
Mm-hmm.
And you also shouldn't, when they throw those Easter eggs, if you don't know what the Easter egg is, the most you should feel is, oh, I bet that was something. Moving on.
Yeah,
but when you actually sit there and go, what did that mean?
Am I going to find out later?
You made it, you made it such a significant point. I don't know who that is. It's like in that dreadful Into Darkness Star Trek movie. Benedict Cumberbatch is like, I am Khan. And the characters should be like, who's that? Because they don't know him.
Yeah.
Another Star Trek reference is, if you watch Lower Decks is the show. They are consciously making the choice that this is a fanboy's dream love letter to Star Trek. And they'll pull from anywhere and anything, anytime they want. But that's the show they set out to do. Doctor Who should be doing new things.
Yeah.
A reference back is, I think, important to a show like Doctor Who because it has changed so much. But tone it down, people. And Moffat just gets worse and worse and worse.
I will say, though, because of our podcast and just me rewatching things over, I am enjoying this aspect of it that I am also saying not to do.
Sure. Yes.
I enjoy it, but it does sort of trip me out. I tripped over my own feet, or my shoes were untied. Oh, but they were untied because in episode 5 someone untied them.
Well, now you enjoy it because now you're in the club.
Yeah, I'm in the club. I enjoy this show for its emotional content. So a lot of the other things that I totally see fall short, they just kind of, roll off me, because if the emotional storyline is hitting, I'm good. And even in episodes, the emotional storylines usually are pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that referential type of thing, in these episodes, there's the Tavolian, which was first introduced in 2 seasons ago with 2 different companions, Amy and Rory, in the God Complex, where we had that chipmunk sort of hamstery kind of alien. And so to me, that's okay because it is modern, so it's not that far back. But to do something like Alpha Centauri, which was in the 70s and 70s, I'm like, it's a little too much.
But what I liked about that is it wasn't a plot point. It was just character.
Yeah.
And I think you could have, if Russell throws in an alien species that only ever appeared during Hartnell's era, that's fine. As long as it's handled this way. It's just another character who happens to be this race. Not, oh, look, I haven't seen you in 63 years. And, oh, you look so much older than you were so much older back then. Stop making them plot points. Just do them, and whoever gets them, that's great. And, you know, if they don't get it, they don't need to get it.
Yeah, because there's another one where it's a reference to Sarah Jane when she left in Hand of Fear, I believe, where they're supposed to be in South Croydon. Like, if you don't know that reference, you're not going to miss what's going on in the story.
True, yes. That's a little gift to the fans. Those kind of episodes, though, are a little different because you brought Sarah Jane back. We're going to show you why we brought Sarah Jane back. You know,
no, this was in these episodes. They mentioned South Croydon, not the Sarah Jane episode.
Oh, in these episodes?
Yeah, these two.
Oh, never mind. Cut that. Rewind.
And then I had another thought, several thoughts ago, is that this season starts off with Clara in her classroom. And I think that's her only tie to a present day person in this season.
No.
Who else is she connected to? We don't see her with her students in the other episodes, but we see her in present day. That's what I'm getting at.
The Zygon invasion. We see her in her apartment complex and she interacts with a neighbor.
But that's the first time we saw that neighbor.
Yes, true.
There's no more Danny. There's no more students that I don't think show up again. And so...
No father, stepmother, grandmother.
There's none of that.
Who came out of the blue as well.
So in the Zygon invasion, that is more plot-driven rather than world-building. And I think that's weird, just like watching these again. I'm like, wow, you're really removing her from that groundedness that Rose, Martha, and Donna had.
It's also extremely classic Doctor Who.
Yes, absolutely.
The companions had no contact.
Yeah.
No outside lives. They were just companions.
And that's Moffat's influence because of all these references that we were just talking about. He loves classic Who so much.
Yeah.
And so I think he's turning modern Who into classic Who, and we're kind of fighting it because we love what modern Who and how different it was.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else with these water episodes? All right. The next two are another pairing, episodes 5 and 6, The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived. This is our first introduction to a shielder, and this is where the Doctor knows that he can make small ripples in time, but never tidal waves. And they end up in a Viking village, and we see kind of what happens with the Doctor making these steps in times, the time stream of what happens with a shielder. And this is, crap, I forgot her name.
Maisie Williams?
Yes, thank you. Maisie Williams plays a shielder, so this is the first time that she shows up, and she will come back in the season.
I thought this was just one episode.
Yeah. Yeah, see, sorry, Frank. Sorry.
Go.
Okay. I was going to say, of all the two-parters in this season, I think this is the one that works the least as a two-parter. These two episodes are literally hurt by being back-to-back.
Yeah. Even in our discussion, we're like, we should have put the first episode earlier in the season and then the last episode later in the season. So we have that feeling that time has passed for a shielder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't as impressed with Maisie Williams in these first two, but I think she does get better later.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
But also, I think the first one, she's fine. I liked her.
First one, she's really good, actually, I think.
Playing younger than she was in the village, and it was a fun episode, and it was silly, and it had some fun moments. But I also didn't buy that the Doctor forgot about her at the end of the episode so that she dies. That's not something I thought he would seem to just forget about. He's had other people in danger, and other people have done stuff, and others have died. You know, like he did, like Parting of the Way, he showed all those people who has died because of him. But this just did not seem character driven. It was just, no, we just have to have it for a plot.
And then this one is where we get the mention of the hybrid being a shielder because of the alien technology that makes her immortal. So
not to be picky, but is that in this episode or the next one, the second half?
We're talking about them together.
Okay. Yes, this is the next reference of the hybrid.
And this, the second time it's mentioned, it's already changed. It's not a Dalek Time Lord hybrid. It's a human alien technology hybrid.
Well, it's a mystery. I don't have any problem with it changing. And for me, this is my preference. I like a Shielder, or me, as she later goes by, to be the hybrid. I think that's fun. And it's probably also because as you're watching it, once the Doctor saves her with this alien technology, you're like, oh, she's a hybrid. So it's one of those, I guess I also like it because I feel like I pieced it together myself before the Doctor even referred to her as the hybrid.
But she's a human. She's not warring with the Time Lords. So that's the part that I don't get.
Well, who says? Oh, because it's a Time Lord prophecy.
Well,
it has to
the
be
prophecy
a
is
race
two warring races. So
Yes.
that's the Daleks and the Time Lords.
They don't know who the hybrid is. They're making assumptions.
Oh, I feel like that's what the writing is doing. It's making all assumptions. It's like throwing out a mystery for being a mystery.
So you don't think like a human Meyer hybrid could fulfill this specific prophecy? Because I think if you made a Shielder immortal and what we see her turning into, yeah, she could cause trouble for the Time Lords eventually.
Oh, eventually, yes, but we never... it's one of those quantum sort of Schrodinger's cat thing. It's like, it could be, but it's not right now.
Right. It's you know.
I just want to
I mean,
clarify.
I can't believe we're arguing that the prophecy is an interesting thing. But still, it's a prophecy. People make of a prophecy whatever they want. And, you know, we're going to get to one soon that is even sillier.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, no.
And the whole point of me bringing this up is that it changed the second time we heard it.
I want to just be sure that how we hear it is how you're hearing it. Because from what you had said, it's two races warring against each other, is how I heard you say it.
It just says
And-
two warring races.
Right, but that's how it sounded like, no, there's the Daleks and there's the Time Lords, so they're fighting against each other. But the prophecy just said two warrior races that could not have met yet. They don't interact. They're not fighting each other. It's just they're two warring races that somehow come together.
I guess the part that I left out is that in the beginning, when we first heard it in this season, it's presented like it's the Daleks and the Time Lords, which are currently fighting each other.
Right.
And I understand that this interpretation of future warring or future conflict could happen between two other races. It's changing.
Yeah, I mean, they present it as the Daleks. Well, you know, it's Doctor Who. Obviously, even everybody watching is going to think Daleks and Time Lords.
Yeah.
And I do think if the payoff at the ending was better, we wouldn't mind having the possibilities that were brought up as what is the hybrid.
Yes, I will agree with that. When
it
we
fit?
get there, we'll tell you what the hybrid actually is, and it's so disappointing.
I do have to say, because of the podcast, I like this episode more because Capaldi's got some great things in this. The scene between him and Clara about, now I know this face. That's great. That's fantastic. But I dislike the second one more because of the podcast. Because when you analyze The Woman Who Lived, boy, it falls apart. And I agree with Auburn. I don't think Maisie's that good.
Yeah, and
Here.
specifically for the girl who died, the part that we all liked in that episode was when the Doctor makes his decision to stay and save the village.
Oh, stay to save the village. Yes. Okay, that's good. That's a good part.
Yeah, let me finish.
Sorry.
The baby is crying, and then the Doctor from a previous season can speak baby. And so once the Doctor makes up his mind with talking, and Clara is talking with him, that you just made up your mind that you're going to stay, and then the baby stops crying. We all enjoyed that moment, so it sticks out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so for these two episodes, The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived, for casual it was Allburn, for fan it was Brian, Frank, and myself, and for diehard it was Kelsey.
Which one? Both of them?
Yeah, we saved our
we
categories for both of them.
No.
The next up are episodes 7 and 8, the Zygon Invasion and the Zygon Inversion. This is Operation Double, where there's a peace agreement that settles millions of Zygons on the planet Earth, and they have to there's two factions within the Zygon race that want to continue with the peace treaty and ones that don't want, and they want to kind of like be themselves. And this is where we get Kate back. I forgot to mention that Kate and Jack were in the first episode, which is familiar, or Magician's Apprentice, one of those, where the planes stop and then Clara goes to unit, and then both Kate and Jack are there. And then we get both of them back in the Zygon invasion along with Osgood.
And I liked her in that first episode. In this one, they just changed the character, and she wasn't the same.
She's more to drive the plot of like, oh, they fooled the human.
Right. And so I was like, oh, they brought the character down for this one.
Yeah.
Plus, she also delivers the exposition.
But
I'm
in a
here
way
to
that,
tell you
before
what's
you
on
kill
the
me, this is
screen.
what's happening. Oh no.
I mean, I remember really hating the first one, the Zygon invasion, because of how it ends with Zygon Clara, aka Bonnie, shooting the presidential plane with the doctor on it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is the show now?
Remember what
When did we
me,
last see
it's-
the Zygons? And
We saw them in the 50th with the
Oh, the
War Doctor,
50th.
the Day of
Ah.
the Doctor with
Hey,
Matt Smith and David Tennant and John Hurt.
And if I remember right, with Tom Baker, these creatures only ever showed up in one story.
this is Capaldi's first time seeing them. So we've gone
Yes.
a series and a half. And then we decided to wrap up this story from... Okay.
I like that
Yes.
they continued the story. I liked that idea of that.
Because
And
it did just drop out.
Right. I'm glad they came back to it. I liked
You know how
a lot about it, but go ahead, Brian.
You know what I said about it? It was 90 minutes of just to get us to a 10-minute Capaldi speech that was great.
You said 80 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. How fallible of me. But yeah, to me, it's like this is obligatory stuff you have to sit through to get to his speech. And I know his speech is over the top and very scenery chewing, and I don't care. I think it's fantastic, but it is not the story leading up to it is not worthy of the speech.
Yeah, because I remember the speech, but not what the episodes that accompany the speech came with, like the packaging. I was like, oh,
Right.
This is where that is?
Yeah.
I even forgot the twist that's in the Zygon invasion. The scene that you were mentioning with Jack, how she gives some exposition before she dies. Again, like I thought she was the Zygon in disguise, and it's like the twist is Clara, for however long in this episode, has been a Zygon. They got me again, but I think they got me again because I don't think about these episodes.
I will say this again. This last viewing of ours was the first time I opened the shrink wrap to this DVD set.
Kate was not Kate in this episode. She was too quick to pull a gun.
Hmm.
You know, she was very militaristic in this one.
Oh yeah. In this
And it
in
just-
these two episodes, Kate will be played by an American.
Oh, that's
Oh, it's funny because it's sad.
I'm curious if Josh, did you watch these?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I guess I'm curious because
and no.
Yeah, I think I might have been thinking that was sort of like an off-screen thing that may have happened, or at the same time, I may have guessed that what Brian was saying earlier, like, I don't know what this is referencing, but it must be referencing something. And then sometimes I think like, yeah, it might be referencing something from Classic Who that I just don't know, and it's just an Easter egg that they're involving as a weaving into the plot point. And that's when I just kind of fall back on, whatever. Am I enjoying this? If I'm enjoying it, it's fine. Like I don't know. I'll find out later. Will that affect, again, like the emotional content of the story, which is really what almost all the plot lines are following, and all of the logic seems to be like icing on the cake more than the cake itself. The biggest problem I have with these two episodes, and I enjoy these episodes, and I've enjoyed this whole season 10 times more rewatching it, is
good.
what I call, the bubble wrap monsters of the way the Zygons look. But I will say, considering it was based, they had to like, okay, we're going to use the Zygons from Tom Baker, you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
They look ridiculous. How can we make these look as good as possible? And they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the design is ridiculous, but the makeup itself, I think is really good. And and then there's that just fun factor of how cheesy Doctor Who is, but they make it feel really important and serious, and that's what I like. So
I think Osgood is a great character. I hope that they would find a way to bring her back some more eventually, but probably not. the Zygons are hard because again, it was a long time, since we've seen them, and also the episodes feel kind of out of place from the England that we know from Doctor Who because they've seen like aliens and different things in London, and so having the point be, oh, there's aliens here. I get that can be disturbing, but it just seemed a little out of the Doctor Who world we've already been in. And then the inclusion of these episodes in this series feels weird with Face the Raven. And I know there is a line in Face the Raven where she mentions the Zygons being an issue, but you got lots of aliens living on the planet that people know about. So these also, like, I enjoyed Osgood. I enjoyed the Doctor's speech and seeing Kate, but yeah, they feel out of place in this series.
Yeah, I agree.
I do like the 2 episodes. Not that they're great, but I do like them. I do enjoy it. But there are so many problems with it as well.
Mhm.
I'm trying to be either objective and then subjective. It's like
Just
they
do a
brought
just do-
Osgood back, but they didn't clarify whether or not she was Osgood or was she, the Zygon. And to me, that was important. But to them, it's like, no, that point is her identity still lives on. It's like, yes, I get it, but I needed to know. But now it seems it's just one thing I didn't like. And it seems so many Unit people are dead because who are they hiring that they'll believe that this person who lives somewhere else is their mom? Sure. You look like her? Yeah. It's not. You were warned it's not. But
It was,
just,
yes, these 2, they're very silly, but also very dark. We watch a character commit suicide.
and they had the 2 little girls change into Zygons before killing them. I remember that disturbed you before.
It disturbed, I think it disturbed Allburn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Allburn's.
Kelsey's cool with kids getting killed.
Don't include
My
my thing is they turned
We
into
got it, it's
Zygons.
official.
They were never kids. They were
Right.
Zygons.
I don't mind looking at them as separate episodes, but to look at them as the same, like, 2 pieces of a story, tonally the episodes are too different. So, like, usually with a 2-parter, they're similar enough where you think of them as one episode, but these 2 episodes feel so different, it's kind of hard to marry the story together sometimes, I think.
I really wish they had focused on one plot. Kind of, what do we do with people that are here on this earth that are, in fact, hiding who they really are?
Yeah, and to sorry to interject, but
Got any experience with that, Frank? I don't know. It sounds kind of familiar.
Well, it was definitely topical with a lot of different things going on with immigration, a lot of things going on anybody who feels marginalized in a different race. So I think it's still, important, still having this discussion again. So I did like that aspect.
But they didn't focus on what
Right.
we as adults would kind of gravitate toward.
yeah, and as a result, I remember when we rewatched it for the podcast, I understood it better, but originally watching it, I didn't really catch what was going on with them, like what the social commentary was. I was distracted by the other plot points, like the main physical plot points, and it wasn't until I rewatched them where I got that whole thing. So to your point, Eugene, I think it was like they didn't spell it out enough.
Yeah, because I think that's what good, I don't want to say good sci-fi, but just good storytelling in general does, is that it makes your story pretty solid, and then it weaves in the morality or the message that they're trying to bring home. Usually with sci-fi, it's a warning, because that's how, like, Star Trek dealt with racism. They just made it an alien. So the one that comes to my mind is Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, where these two there's one where the black and the white are on different sides of the faces, where the Zygons are warring within in each other and they look the same. Or I think of also of Alien Nation, where they're actually living among us. How do we handle that in a modern day world where aliens have to, they're immigrants, they have to be integrated into our society? How do we deal with that? And it sucks that this is a theme that has been done better.
Mm-hmm.
And there are good examples, but Doctor Who kind of did 20% of what they could have done.
It's just so bloated. I wonder what this would have been like as a one episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember. I think we said that. I think we said that when we
Yeah.
went over this. It was just like this did not need to be stretched out.
No.
Um,
But this season did try a lot of different things, which is yay. Give them,
Yeah.
yeah.
things.
Yeah, and again, like even though I think these two don't juxtapose well because of the difference in tone, I enjoyed the tone in each of them separately. But you know, anyway,
But as Eugene said, it's been done better in other
yeah,
areas.
yeah.
I did like Clara fighting for possession. So
Mhm.
I remember that scene being really good that she could take over. Like, wait a minute, this is a two-way street here. Let me see what I can do.
Okay, so for these two episodes, the Zygon invasion and the Zygon inversion. For casual, we had Allburn, Josh, Brian, Frank, and myself. And Kelsey was for a fan. All right, next episode is episode 9, Sleep No More, where a doctor is recording a message for everyone. You must not watch this. You can never unsee it. And he's collected footage and tried to put it in order. He doesn't fully understand what's going on, and there's some sort of like sleep deprived something going on.
That was my no more. I don't want to do this anymore. 'Cause
I
that
think,
was-
this is Brian's favorite episode, so he can summarize it better than I can.
It's crap. Oh, this is for me. This is so bad, but it also I can't watch it because of the way it's filmed. I mean, it literally agitates me to watch this.
They did
nonsense.
try. They did do something artsy. I don't like it. I don't think it worked, but I think, well, yay, they did try a different way of doing things.
But they try to cliche.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Found footage is not innovative.
And this was written by Mark Gatiss.
Shocking. I'm sorry, he's not good.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
No, this episode is what? How does it end? I mean, what's the point? Can just someone tell me what the point of this episode was? Because I what? I mean, seriously, what? Because at the end, the person who's been walking us through this turns into a sand monster.
Yeah, well, he's been dead all along, sort of thing.
He's been
or
wanting to
just-
infect everybody.
So his warning is actually the thing that gets people, and then he turns into a pile of dust. Because that's the goal, is to turn everybody into a pile of dust, I believe.
It's a whole Hoover plot so they can be important again. Sorry, vacuum.
or all the dust, because there is a mention of this. The dust mixed with the organic compound could be the hybrid.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was making the list of the hybrid references, when I got to that, I'm like, are you kidding me?
It definitely was a filler because they had one episode that they needed.
Yeah.
It felt like. I did like all the footage that they go, there's no cameras anywhere. That was a nice twist.
Yeah, that did.
So
Yeah, I enjoy it because it's cliche. I feel it's kind of just it's leaning into that, not trying to be something innovative. I think it's like, hey, you know how they all do this thing? Let's do this thing too for our story. That really because then if we use the helmet cam idea from Aliens, but what if there were no cams? Ooh, that's good, Mark. Go work on that.
Right.
That's how the pitch meeting went.
Yeah.
Moffat was like, "It's not crap. Go work on it."
Yeah. It's like this old lady told me this thing. Well, she's been dead for 20 years. And then also there's that thin but poignant subplot of inclusion and tolerance. The young jerk.
There was a transgender actress.
And then him being a jerk and then turning into a nice person, and sort of. And
Wait, what?
Well, because he was prejudiced against her.
The artificial human.
Yeah.
The grunt was a transgender actor?
Was that 474?
Yeah, just a genetically engineered soldier with the paint on it.
It definitely felt like it could have been, the Halloween horror episode that we'd watch at Halloween. But even that, it didn't really have, enough of the horror stuff, I think, to make it even good for that.
I think the way it was shot hurt that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
because a lot of horror is influenced by camera angles and lighting and stuff, and you start doing things on video or pseudo video, and it's all washed out, like. And they didn't do it well enough. I mean, Blair, I don't want to cite Blair Witch, but they didn't do the found footage in a way that made it look scary.
Mhm.
That being said, again, like I kind of look at this whole episode as a bubble wrap episode. Like it's just cheesy fun with silly ideas threaded together through melodrama,
Yeah.
through sci-fi melodrama.
It was a filler.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So we all put this in Die Hard. Surprise, surprise.
yeah.
So then the next 3 episodes are kind of considered a three-parter because they're closing and they're kind of thematically connected. But I kind of do we want? Let's just talk about Face the Raven next by itself.
Yeah.
So episode 10 is Face the Raven, and this is where a doctor gets a phone call from somebody who we've seen in the previous season, which is Riggsy, and he's got a problem with a tattoo. And they go and try to solve it. The tattoo is sort of counting down to something, and then we see a Me who was previously known as a Shielder. She comes back, and then they try to save Riggsy from this countdown.
Riggsy was from the
Flatline, the graffiti artist.
Yeah.
Shrinking TARDIS episode.
Yes.
So I
Right.
pretty sure I wasn't on the recording we reviewed this.
That's correct.
I watched this out of context for the very first time. Like the first time I saw this was out of context, and I watched this on my own, and I thought it was a beautiful ending to her story. I just remember being like,
it was
so moved, and I was like, oh wow, that is beautiful. So like, if it was just that, I think just looking at it with that, it's such a beautiful ending to a companion. Like
It lands and it pays off.
Well, it's funny because to me, her best death was the Name of the Doctor, where she goes through the time stream and sees all the Doctor's incarnations. And then we get another good ending with The Last Christmas, where she's like 100 years old or something. And then now we get Face 3. I'm like, okay, we've gone and seen a movie together. We said our goodbyes at the lobby, and then we walked together to the same parking structure. That's what it feels like.
Well, also don't forget that they broke up early too
with
Murder on the Orient. Mummy on the Orient. It's like that was their breakup, and it's like just die already. And I really like this episode now, but I hated it because I was so done with Clara. I was just so done with it. And it was like, and we knew this wasn't her last episode. It was like, what's the point? It was like,
And it's a shame because I like Riggsy from Flatline. So to have him come back in this episode, I'm conflicted because if you watch it in context, it's not one I like, but I can see how you can enjoy it as a standalone, singularly out of context episode. And this is culminating to what we've been talking about, how the Clara is becoming the Doctor as far as the writing aspect of it, where unlike Before the Flood, where they have a singular goal of how to save these folks and how to save the day in essence. This one, Clara is going off the book and trying to save Riggsy on her own without any consultation with the Doctor. So that's what gets her into trouble at the end.
Yes, now that I look at it with
hindsight.
I mean, what we're criticizing, Clara acting more and more like the Doctor. Well, that's what got her killed. I think that's a cautionary tale.
But not just that; it's her recklessness because she was hanging outside the TARDIS to look down and nearly slipped out. And
that's right, she did do that.
That was fun. Oh, look, that was funny. It was just. So, I mean, it just accumulates everything that's been going on. Culminates. Thank you. That's why I had it right the first time. Well,
it ends with.
Goes two different ways. Anyway. Go ahead.
What is Clara's full character arc? I know we've had several incarnations of her, but at least I think some of the other companions, they learn some lessons, and then it's sad for them to leave, but at least some of them we feel like they are going off, maybe not better, but at least changed by the Doctor. And
Mhm.
this one,
I think it's
I'm
like
not sure.
I don't know. To me, it sort of reminds me of when you're in a relationship for so long, and the relationship's kind of over, but you're still in it,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
you don't realize, it's time to go
Yeah.
solely because of the feel. Like the relationship doesn't really work anymore, but because of your feelings, you're still in it. I like Claire, so I don't agree with you guys on that point, but I do recognize all your points. I don't argue them, but it
I
doesn't
like her
bother.
better now that we've gone through the episodes as a
Yeah.
podcast.
And I've
Yes,
liked
it's-
Clara. I just don't like seeing the demise of her,
Yeah.
changing where it's like you're leading to disaster and you had that and you almost deviated from it on the Orient Express. And then you got sucked back in. And it's just, ever since then, it's just getting frustrating. This at the beginning had some great moments of her being the Doctor next to Ashildor in The Girl Who Died. She was working out the situation, and then Shield was going, "No, we'll fight you because we're really strong." And being all, it's like, oh, Clara was handling that well. So it was like she was coming back, but then it just kept getting worse and worse. That she's getting, she's falling, and no one's there, no one's catching her, or no one's going to help. And so it's like, well, and her acceptance of it at the end was great. Like, no, this is what I did. This is only because of me. I did this to myself, and taking ownership of that. And so I did like this episode, and I've liked Clara more than some others on this podcast and others that with all the Clara hate. But she did stay too long. I agree with that. It's like, but this was a good ending. This was a good.
Was a good ending.
Is that's the end of the season, right? We're not doing anything else.
Spoiler. I'll talk to you at over dinner.
Okay, gotta go.
Okay, so for this one, casual, we had Alburn and Frank, and for fan, we had Josh, Brian, and myself.
And I think I remember because if you didn't know the past, you got more out of it. Is that
Yeah.
right, Auburn? It was like you didn't have that baggage to go along with it, where this one really was a good one for someone not knowing as much as
Yes.
everybody knew.
And oddly enough, this was not written by Steven Moffat. It was written by Sarah Dollard. So the next one is episode 11, Heaven Sent. This is the one where the Doctor is trapped in his confession dial, and he has to spend years and years breaking diamonds. I mean, there's so much.
Substance harder than diamond.
That's right. This one, it brings up the hybrid as like the Time Lords getting a confession of what the hybrid is from the Doctor. It's not really explaining what the hybrid is, I don't believe. But it's just they mention, like, hey, we forgot to mention it in Face the Raven and Sleep No More, so let's mention it here.
It's an interrogation with no interrogator.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is the first appearance of the confession dial, like inside the dial, and the second verbal mention, because we had it mentioned in The Witch's Familiar. But when I hear confession dial as like the last will and testament of a Time Lord, this is not what I had envisioned. Kind of like when in the first Star Wars movie, when they mention you fought with my father in the Clone Wars.
Prepare to die.
Attack of the Clones is not what I had pictured.
Not at all.
Nice.
Well, also, that's the whole point of this, is that it was not what a confession dial was supposed to be. The Time Lords changed it into a torture device.
But we only learn that in the next episode, and that's the
But we're doing
frustrating
these
part.
together because these
Yes,
are definitely
yes.
together.
So then the second one, or the episode 12, is Hell Bent. So we can talk about Heaven Sent and Hell Bent together now.
Which so many
Can
people
I say
like
one
this
thing
first
about-
part, and I don't get why.
Me
I
too.
don't understand it.
Me
It's
too.
very boring. It's like he didn't spend a billion years himself in this, which is just outrageous anyway. But because he kept dying, he would die at the end, and then
And reboot.
and reboot, and then so everything reset except for the Heart of the Diamond stuff. Everything else reset. So it just sort of, well, why did that one thing not reset? The clothes are. I don't know. It just seemed artsy.
That was what they wanted to achieve.
It was the next. Oh, gee, we made an entire 2-episode plot to get Capaldi to do the Ultimate Doctor speech for 10 minutes. Let's give him his own episode. It's just him. It's a one-man tour de force. And I hate to say it, I think this is one of his weaker performances. And I love Capaldi.
Something that Kelsey and I were talking about for the Sleep No More is that we felt Capaldi was a little bit weaker acting in that. And it could be part of like how it was shot, but also, there's nobody there to act off of a lot of the time. Like Sleep No More had the point of view so much that I'm sure it was a lot of acting right to a camera. Instead of another actor, like you're acting right to the cameraman pretending to be that actor. And similar to Heaven Sent, he's very good at, his rambling and like playing off of himself, but you still like, it's so helpful to have another actor there to react off of and build off of. I think that probably also hurt in Heaven Sent, that it was just him and that, relentless POV
Creature
camera
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, again, they did the same thing as Sleep No More, right? Where the camera is like the creature's point of view, so it's always kind of that like
Stalking
moving
quality.
Yeah.
This is also the one where we had Nate from Temple of Geek come on, and he really likes this episode. So you can listen to that to hear his thoughts because he's not here right now.
And then, but then the second part.
Oh, sorry. Then let me finish this part. So then all of us put it into a fan category. It was unanimous across the board for Heaven Sent.
I didn't put it into Moffat's mom says he's adopted.
Nope. Everybody put it into fan.
What was I smoking?
I think our love for this episode, the ones who liked it, swayed you that day, Brian, a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I'll give you that.
But now, what's sticking in my craw right now is what you said, Frank, a few minutes ago. Of like, why didn't that reset? And then I'm kind of remembering that might have been what I was thinking originally, but then maybe just didn't make a point to go on about it.
Not everything resets.
There were other things that did not. The writing was Bert. The painting.
Okay. Right, because then he puts on his clothes. Yeah, everything that's what it is. Everything the doctor does doesn't reset. The reason the clothes reset is because he put on the clothes, and then the next doctor
hung the others
left
up.
them. So that just created a paradox. That's the right word.
But the
Because-
skulls
Yeah,
get, that's right. The skulls get more.
Because they're accumulating from him.
Right. Okay.
Accumulating, yes.
Culminating.
Well, like, when it starts to get to be like, is it billions of years that he's been at it? And like 4.5 billion. But also, we know that his conscious state is resetting, like has been said. So, for fans, like, we're not dumb. Like, we think about things. And so when there's incongruencies, it makes it harder to truly love it.
Mm-hmm. So I guess
this is interesting. I'm on Wikipedia, and they're showing the audience appreciation levels for each episode that they do in the UK. And Heaven Sent out of 10 has an 8.0, or out of 100 it has an 80, and Hellbent has 82. Face the Raven has 84. So it's like, according to this, it's liked, but it's not overwhelmingly loved.
Missy mentioned the Cloister Wars, and I think in here we also get that mention because the cloister bells are ringing in Gallifrey. And this is the first time, I think, in Modern Who that we are on Gallifrey, like proper. Not in a flashback, not in something other.
Painting.
Yeah, painting. Yes, thank you. I was trying to think of that. And speaking of the painting, that was Day of the Doctor when Matt Smith mentions maybe my purpose is to go back home the long way around. And then so we had a full season with Capaldi, and then another full kind of season, and this is the end. So the long way around is really the long way around. But again, he planted that seed and never watered it. And then now there's a giant redwood right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange because when I heard that in the Day of the Doctor, I was kind of excited. Hey, we're going to see Gallifreyans again. We're going to see Time Lords. We're going to see his people. And it's not like it was ever mentioned. There was no watering of this seed to germinate. He was never... I mean, we always get the fact that he's kind of lonely, and maybe some might say homesick, but he never verbalized it. And he never went looking for Gallifrey.
Yes, he did.
When?
Early on, he says to Clara, I went looking for Gallifrey, I didn't find it.
That's another thing I don't like, because you're telling us, you're not showing us.
Yeah, but I think it was because the time they had spent apart. Because she had an equivalent thing, I don't remember what it was.
It was when Danny died.
Danny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when Danny died. I still don't like that we didn't see it.
Like, was it Amy that was like pregnant or not pregnant on the little monitor
Mm-hmm.
at the end of a couple episodes? Like something as simple as that, would have helped. Like a little monitor at the end, like Gallifrey not found. But there's so many things in this season that to Eugene's analogy, needed watered, but it all kind of just got forgotten about. So then you could have had like things about the hybrid, a little bit better place instead of just, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that is right, that he does go looking for Gallifrey because of coordinates Missy gave him. I think that's right. And then there's just empty space.
Yeah, nothing was there.
But if you water a seed once, it doesn't turn into a redwood. And that's what I don't like about that scene. Even though we're shown it, we need to see the search. To me, the Doctor wouldn't give up. He would keep trying. And that's the part I don't like. It's like, I lost my keys. Did you look? I looked once.
Even like talking to the headless monk guy, like a character like that, like, have you gotten any information? No, I'm sorry, Gallifrey is still missing. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just something. We needed more than one water drop on the seed. But this episode, Hellbent, they were very much inspired by spaghetti western, so that's why it has that sepia-toned sort of dry, arid look. And I get it. You want to make the Doctor like Clint Eastwood, but it feels, again, out of nowhere. And we go back to that shed that the Doctor cried in as a child, and also where the moment was held in Day of the Doctor. I wish I'd liked this episode more.
And the Gallifreyans look,
You're talking about the citizens, the normal folk.
Yeah, the normal, the common folk, the small folk.
Isn't that kind of the point? Like, they're supposed to be oppressed by the regime?
I think so, but I also don't like that.
I mean, I don't mind that. Just make them look Gallifreyan. I'm not saying that they have to have big collars and things, but
they look
Day of
too
the Doctor,
earthbound.
the common folk are in, they're wearing red robes, and they don't look like they're wearing something from a prop store.
Would have been cool to have them dressed as Gallifreyans and farming in the fields or something. Like, just, that would have been a different way to go. That would have, been funny maybe, but also at least would have been alien. Like,
Yeah.
I agree. Like, just seeing like scruffy looking humans, actors playing scruffy looking Gallifreyans doesn't elevate that to outside of the Western genre.
Mm-hmm. If you watch this episode with nothing previous to this season, it's a nice goodbye. Like, the Doctor he has his memory wiped. He's going into a diner because something is familiar, but he doesn't really know why. He doesn't recognize Clara being the waitress. And what he's saying, what's written, is nice and beautiful. But in context, it feels unearned, I guess is the best way to describe how I feel.
I just think the whole thing's bad. And when he pulls Clara out, I just want Clara to go off on it and saying, she does a little bit, but it's more of tell me what's going on rather than put me back. You shouldn't be doing this. And it just, ugh. And then the diner TARDIS.
I mean, did we need that with a shielder and Clara spinning off into space in a diner?
No. Sorry.
I'm like, who wanted that?
And not to spoil, but doesn't like the next season kind of end in a very, very similar way? Like with the companions, like a dead companion coming back and then going off.
Similar, but
better.
Yes, I was going to say.
I agree.
Yeah.
Better. So, but it's,
and we like that companion.
Yeah, I'm saying that, this is an idea that here it feels not as good as later. And so it's unfortunate that it's like here as well. Like, do something different here, do the better thing later. But they didn't know.
No.
But she had such a nice goodbye. Face of Raven was a great goodbye. She left on her terms. She knew what she did. She paid the consequence, understandably. She wasn't happy, but it's like, no, let me go out her way. I mean, just like she was saying, like, Danny did something good on his way out. Let me do that too. This is it. This is, make it mean something. And, she saved Rigsy. So it just worked. And then to bring her back for this, to me, it was just... the writer, showrunner, let her go. Let her die. Or as Kirk would say, let them die. Just let it go. So I did not like that she came back.
So how does this episode wrap up the hybrid? We're meant to think that the hybrid is Clara and the Doctor?
Yes, the
Yep.
hybrid is revealed to be both Clara and the Doctor, which goes against our definition of Earthlings of what a hybrid is a combination of two separate things, not two individuals being sort of similar.
But
I
they're
got-
two individuals that become so intertwined that they will stop at nothing to save each other, which will destroy the universe. Okay.
And you can see that they went too far for each other. And he hasn't done that with, he's lost other companions he didn't go back for, Rose or
Amy, Rory.
Amy. They said, no, okay, they're locked out. They can't go back. They can't do all this stuff. So it just seemed too far for her. And because he took her out of time, he goes, okay, now we can just reset it. And it doesn't reset because that's his own arrogance. And that's what Clara had about her own arrogance. And it just, yes, they could destroy everything that way. So I get it. I don't think it was done well enough or the seeds weren't laid enough because they kept saying other ideas of what the hybrid was rather than showing them how much. I mean, they did show how much they would do for each other, but it just didn't have the ramifications of destroying the
See,
universe.
for me, it's Moffat elevates Clara to be an equal to the Doctor, right? That was bad. We didn't like that. We thought that was not handled well. And here he's elevating her to be the Doctor's equal in that they can destroy the entire universe. It's like she's that powerful now. She's that awesome. She's that great.
And was it really a 50-50 chance as to whose memory would be gone?
Yeah,
It's Clara now. Would Clara go, no, I'm not losing my memory of this, so she switches it for the Doctor and knows it. It's still sad and upset, but she's like, she got it. But going by what Brian said about how much she's becoming the Doctor and how the writing is going, it's like, it could be argued, I think, that she knew what she was doing.
And I agree with me.
Not me, but me.
Yeah, and then me shows up. Why?
And she had to explain who it was, who the hybrid was.
I think Moffat likes petite, dark-haired women. I mean, look at that; they look very similar. Mhm.
God, I was angry with Doctor Who at this point. I was hate watching it.
Again, shrink wrap not open until this year.
Yeah.
But I am very glad that we have this podcast so we could watch it again because there were good points in it.
I don't agree with. Just kidding. Yes, I agree with that.
So it's like, no, it's not my favorite. I can understand why a lot of people do like some of these episodes or like this season. It's not mine, but at least I can understand a little bit better why they do.
I'm glad I was able to watch Face the Raven.
I mean, I get it. The companion is going to be the Doctor's best friend in every season and incarnation. I just wish that Clara's arc was a little more palatable. Yeah, shorter. I think shorter would have been more effective. Like less is more in this case.
Well, that's the whole thing. She had the arc.
And then the arc kept getting yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's like, well, then they had a separate arc, and then they had another arc. It's like, wait a minute, so bouncy, bouncy, bouncy.
So for Hellbent, we had Fan, that was Allburn, Brian, and myself, and Frank was a diehard. So Josh and Kelsey, you were not there. And for this season, there were two sort of prequels. There was the prologue, which is the Doctor is just on Karn with Ohelia, and they discuss a very old enemy summoning the Doctor, to which he replies he will not go. However, Ohelia knows that he's lying. So this ties in directly with the Magician's Apprentice, where Colony Sarf is looking for the Doctor, and he goes to the Sisterhood of Karn asking, like, where is he? And they don't know, or they don't tell him. I don't think they lie. I just think they don't tell him, and then it's revealed that the Doctor is like right there in the shadows as Colony Sarf leaves. And then the Doctor's Meditation, which is sort of a prequel to, I think, The Girl Who Lived, where we see where the Doctor is with the Vikings and how he's just spent all this time there, and then he comes out eventually with the guitar on the tank.
Yeah, that was good. And the girl who died.
Yeah,
You getting those two, live died thing backwards, but
right.
that
So
had
this
a good
is-
part with what is his name? Boar.
Boars. So yeah, the Doctor's just trying to meditate, and he keeps getting distracted by doing things to help out the Viking village. And season 9, it won some awards. In 2016, it won the BAFTA. How do you say this, Brian? Kimru, the Welsh thing.
Oh, I have no idea.
So that won that award for the best special effect, Best Special and Visual Effects and Graphic Identity for The Magician's Apprentice specifically. And then it also won the Saturn Award for Best Television Presentations for The Husbands of River Song. So I didn't talk about The Husbands of River Song being the capper.
Well, we can do that when we do our Christmas specials
Special.
because we have no season until the next, we have a Christmas special next.
Yeah,
we have season.
Yeah, that's right. We ended with Husbands of River Song in this kind of production block in 2015. And then the following year, 2016, no new episodes until the Christmas special, which is the Return of Dr. Mysterio.
And then after that, we get another season.
The other thing that we kind of talk about is potential companions. Did anybody pop out?
Yeah, on the Under the Lake and Before the Flood.
So Cass?
Cass, yeah, sure. I guess that was more O'Donnell. She dies.
Mm-hmm.
But she's kind of like a fan of the Doctor, like she studied him in school or something.
Yeah. For S.H.I.E.L.D.
Or for Unit.
Unit, sorry. Oh my God.
It's a crossover.
Oh my God. No, Section 31.
Don't cross the nerd stream.
Disney owns it now, so it could.
I thought O'Donnell was like,
as
I was watching, I was like, oh, she's a potential companion. She's gonna die.
Right.
But if you think about it, though, companions for more than an episode or so are never fans of the Doctor. They're always separate, and they don't have anything to do with the Doctor.
Yeah, but couldn't that have been an interesting twist kind of a thing?
Yeah. True.
Because I would have said Cass, but I kind of like the O'Donnell.
And then the other one I can think of is Jack, but then she changed from how she appeared in The Magician's Apprentice into the Zygon invasion, so I don't know about that.
Oh, see, I think of her as not companion material, but literally should have stayed at unit material. They shouldn't have killed her. And they ruined Osgood.
I wouldn't say they ruined it, but she has a whole other role now.
Yeah, and I want her to have her original role.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Yes, her role has completely changed and it's more mature and that kind of stuff. But I just wish we had Osgood.
And I'm not counting Kate because I feel like she's an unofficial companion by this point.
Yeah, no.
Has she ever ridden in the TARDIS?
Which one?
Now.
She has now.
Sorry, who are you talking about?
Kate.
She has now, yes.
When?
But not up to this point in the story.
No.
Yeah, no, not up until this point. But yeah, they finally corrected that. Finally.
I'm glad that Riggsy's not companion because he has a life and he just has the kid, and it's like they could have made him, I think, a good companion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, he has another life that he wants and is responsible. So it's like, I wouldn't want him to be one because it would take him away from where he really wants to and should be.
It is weird how they introduce people and then when they come back, they are different, but not in a sort of logical different. They're different in a way that I don't know if I like them. Like Jack is the most extreme example.
Well,
where
Jack was written different.
Yeah, that's what I. But still, it's
grew.
extreme. I'm just citing an example of how I don't like it.
Right.
Where I'm agreeing with you with Riggsy that I saw the potential in him in Flatline.
Right.
And then when he comes back and Face the Raven, I'm like, oh, he doesn't need to be a companion. He's fine.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I do think he would have been a fantastic companion after Flatline.
Yes, from Flatline, no new episodes, yes.
Yeah, man, he would have been great. I was going to say, yeah, are we talking about me? I don't want to talk about me.
I mean, but she has her own sort of TARDIS, so I don't know. What do you guys think?
No.
Well, can you imagine seeing her every week? I mean, no. We could have gotten away with Shielder.
Yeah, right.
And see, Frank, that's what I mean. Like when we introduce a character, they have the potential, but when they come back, there's just something that happens that they change him a little too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Moffat's brain.
Well, I think because a lot of times when they bring them back, it's for a plot device for that episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about who they are.
Yeah.
Like they already had served their purpose. And so I think an exception to that rule was Mickey. Because when he came back, he was different, but we really liked him.
That's true.
At least I did.
Yeah, I agree with
always
that.
liked him.
And Rory to a smaller extent, but he didn't really leave. But like
He
yeah,
died.
like yeah,
And then he died.
Yeah.
And then he died.
But that's the thing. It's like when they bring old companions, even the classic ones. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this part, but they're there because they're a classic companion. Rarely do they. Oh,
Tegan came back.
yeah, and I guess Ace was a real rebel when she came back too, as well. But it's a device for the story or a gimmick. It's rarely about their story. Like the only reason Riggsy had a family was so Clara would take on his debt.
Right. Yeah.
Like it wasn't because wouldn't it be great if Riggsy had a family?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they sold it.
Oh yeah, it worked.
So it worked.
Yeah, it worked. But I'm just talking about like what you were saying, how he was
Different.
They're different.
Yeah.
But
And I'm so glad Donna changed. Because
mhm.
when she was the Princess Bride,
Runaway Bride.
Runaway Bride.
I was like, sorry about that. Yeah,
Well, still,
it was more
yeah.
funny, but it's like I didn't want her to be a companion. And bringing
Yeah,
her
but-
back,
and-
but they
she's
changed
the
the
other-
character enough. She grew because of knowing the Doctor, so it worked.
yeah, the way that she was different was for her story as much as the episodes, and I still think that bit in the Adipose episode where they're talking to each other through the windows is probably the funniest bit in all of the series.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of the
Yep.
best.
Brilliant.
Maybe I'll go back and watch that.
Yeah.
Cool. So Series 9 or Season 9 is on DVD and Blu-ray, and as of right now, it's still on Max. There's commentary on The Last Christmas, Under the Lake, Before the Flood, The Woman Who Lived, and Sleep No More. So it's very weird what episodes they chose to do commentary on. So that will wrap up Season 9. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll see you next time when the future becomes the present.
You just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook at The Universe Explodes.
Additional music is by Damiel Paggio.
Additional music by Paul Ohlers.
All our episodes are engineered by Auburn, and you can find him at auburnbinkley.com.
You can also find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Who Knew Podcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
Visit our Facebook page.
Please leave comments, reviews, and click like to support Who Knew Podcast.
To listen to our show on your Amazon Echo device, subscribe to us on Amazon Music,
And then ask your Amazon device to play your podcast subscriptions.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who.
The longest running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell, Sidney Newman,
Verity Lambert, Ron Grainer,
and all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
Your work continues to inspire and entertain.